So we gotta get this started right away. Work is trolling me for some weird reason. I don't know why, but I'm getting trolled. So we're gonna get right into this. As usual, don't drink unless you're an adult, and we'll go right into it. So we'll do about 40 minutes worth of work. We started this yesterday. Didn't really have enough time, but hey, it is what it is. All right, let's do this. Okay. Again, this is most certainly a talk. I don't mind doing it. It's just we have to go into a lot of detail on this. Okay, so we talked about childhood and developmental trauma, yada yada yada. Okay, it's good, it's good. Okay. Alright. We can talk about boss. Or holy shit. Don't read too deep into that. The mask, usual. Sort of. Definitely sort of. They do out of my liver when I get older. Gosh. Saw that. Word, you're bugging. will only see the Yandere side. This character is very complex. That's the thing, yeah. Like a lot of people, the moment they see a Yandere character, they just think, oh, this character's just batshit crazy. The clingy girlfriend, that trope is what I'm getting at. They don't look deeper into what makes them Yandere, what's really going on in their dome, and complexities, always complexities. What forces them to be Yandere? All right, we're gonna talk about the love. I know I gotta mention that because that's a big one. Time, just time to stop all emotional collapse. If you really think about it, that she, besides the image that she portrays, and again, we'll put the Yandere aspect aside for sure. That's a part of it too. She is a very, again, complex person. She fits the image of a perfect. She fits the image of someone who's accomplished, and yet she has this complexity still behind her. She can go batshit crazy out of nowhere, but again, she can be normal. Like, besides Mulaney, besides her interaction with Lil Wayne, for example, who she completely despises because of how Lil Wayne feels for Katalina, which is pretty much really at times. She respects Gran. She respects Vira. She can hold a normal conversation with people. Like she can interact pretty normally with people. So there's layers to Vira besides the whole Yandere aspect, which again people just for some weird reason just don't notice because Onesama are crazy, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but we'll get to that. Practice it again. Of course it is. Yes. Okay, let me read this again. To survive Albion's unforgiving structure, Vira constructs a false self, a mask with the perfect successor who meets expectations without compliment. Surprising her anger, pain, and vulnerability, this mask is a brittle facade necessary for social acceptance. Katalina is both a beacon of hope and an unattainable ideal Vira's emotional security depends on her, but Katalina is also a symbol of the very perfection and control Vira's pressures to embody. This duality creates an impossible emotional dynamic. Vira's love for Katalina is not born from pure romantic desire, but is a survival mechanism. An attachment formed in response to trauma and deprivation, designed to stave off emotional collapse. This phrase illustrates how Vira's identity becomes increasingly fragmented with genuine feelings buried beneath layers of performance and need. Okay. Alright, so I think we can go into a little bit more detail about the whole conditional love aspect of this. Fortunately, we can't go into that much detail because I actually do need to get to sleep soon. So I gotta be up. So this was section 3, right? Yes, this was section 3. I'm gonna be doing a little bit more of this tomorrow. Section. So we can talk about price, conditional, love. Okay, where do we want to go with this? So, Vira's self-worth. Vira's self-worth. Yes. Days or identity fuses. The idea of being indispensable, the idea of being indispensable. Honestly, I feel Vira's in a very interesting position because what happens if anything happens to Katalina? Like, let's just say, God forbid, she dies. There goes Vira off the deep end. So, Catalina's state can determine whether Vira just goes completely batshit insane or just has a mental collapse. Yeah, let's use that. And I forgot the end. Of course, I forgot. And it's expensive. So about Catalina's recognition or acknowledgement. Notice me, senpai. That type of shit. What did you say? Recognition. Recognition. In a sense, she fears non-existence. In a sense. Emotional dependency. Definitely emotional dependency. So this it's emotional dependency. If I could fucking spell today. Ah. Play Granblue Versus. See her interactions with Lil Wayne, then you'll see. Like, holy shit. I just feel bad for Lil Wayne. It's either Narmaya's gonna kill you for eating the brownies, or Vira will kill you for even daring to interact with Katalina. So, and again, it fuels the Yandere trope. So any perceived rival Perceived rival or emotional distance from Katalina. When Katalina is, don't take this literal. It's experienced as existential death, not literally death, but don't read too much into that. Is Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. As usual, don't drink unless you're adults. All overtakes affections. Vira maintain. Do I want to put that? Yeah, so Vira's attempts to maintain closeness. Obsessive, of course. Restrictive. And at times violent. Yeah, we're not gonna deny it. Like, she's batshit crazy at times. But not out of malice. Not out of malice. Desperate. Either. Okay, I like it. Okay. If I can fucking spell. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's go over the section one time. So section 4, the price of conditional love. Vira's self-worth becomes inseparable from utility to Katalina. Her identity fuses with the idea of being indispensable. Without Catalina's recognition, Vira fears non-existence. This emotional dependency turns love into a source of terror rather than comfort. Any perceived rival or emotional distance from Katalina is experienced as existential death. Control overtakes affection. Vira's attempts to maintain closeness becomes possessive, restrictive, and violent. Not out of malice, but desperate. We can change that. With desperate fear. Why have I dear? Desperate fear. This cycle of fear control deepens emotional isolation, perpetuating a fulfilling prophecy of abandonment and loss. Okay, I think that's good. We'll touch more upon that when I actually write this damn script. So, as usual, whenever I do stuff like this, I have to bring the brain into this because the brain is always a key factor. Why didn't I just become a psychologist? That's one of my psychologist buddies like, dude, why the hell did you not just become a psychologist? Use the military's benefits. Go become a psychologist and get a minor in sociology. I already have a background in sociology. Okay. Oops. Alright, we can do this next section and then we've got to wrap this up. So this is gonna be section 5. So we did a little bit today. Again, this is going to be a really long video, so this is not going to be released anytime soon. Probably. I say that, then I'll have like a day off and just grind it all out. So section 5. The brain's role. Brains. Oh. So in Vira's case, this is the obsession. We can talk about memory and survival. No, emotional survival. Gotta be specific. Okay. Emotional survival. Okay. So where do we go about this? We gotta mention the Amgala. I'm never gonna be able to pronounce that properly. Amgala. Da. We always mention it, so in her case, it'd be trauma. It would activate that. So trauma hyperactivates, not just activates, it hyperactivates the amygdala. Little pea-shaped object in our hair. So, in a sense, this would work because it makes Vira privy to signals of loss and abandonment. So yeah, that would actually work. All right. Making Vira sensitive. Making Vira sensitive to any signals of loss. Signals of loss and abandonment. So into fixation on it would be fixation on perceived emotional threats. Fixation on perceived emotional threats. The amygdala is a very funny piece of the human brain. It's not just flight or flight. It's in control of it. Holy shit! She actually. Oh my god! She really activates a lot of part of the brain. Now that I think about it. Prefrontal cortex, definitely. Definitely the prefrontal cortex. Because she's impulsive as fuck, and yeah. We can talk about how her actions are tied to her prefrontal cortex. God damn it, Vira. You are literally you're a psychologist's worst enemy. Holy crap, yes you are. The oxytocin, of course. That's the bonding hormone. Holy shit. Yeah, she actually activates a crap ton of signal. Okay, we're not even gonna think about it. We're just gonna go. There's probably more areas of the brain she activates, but we'll go with the more known one. So that's the bonding hormone, by the way. You don't know. In a sense, it's paradoxically. It's, yeah, paradoxically. Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, he actually is a psychologist's worst nightmare. So this neurological creates a neurological loop whenever attachment becomes entangled. Yeah. So yeah, it's a loop. It's definitely a loop. So it creates a neurological loop where attachment. I really should have been a psychologist at this point. Fear, anxiety. I gotta read that over again. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, in a sense, paradoxically intensifies her obsession, creating a neurological loop where attachment becomes entangled with fear and anxiety. Yeah, it is definitely a loop. Holy shit! Wow. Okay. We can't ignore the prefrontal cortex because that's a big one. Prefrontal cortex. Little gray matter in our dome is very complex, if you haven't noticed. Pulse. Control. If you don't know, think of your flight or flight. That situation. You want to fight or you want to flee. That right there controls it. Yeah. Holy shit. I can fucking spell. Yeah, because she honestly gets pretty stressed out. Yeah, that can work. I'm not even gonna say chronic, just stress. So this is gonna reduce. Let's see. Let's see. Ability to moderate. Reactions. When she goes batshit crazy, I'm just gonna call it batshit crazy. She doesn't reflect rationally. We're not gonna ignore that. Especially again when it involves Katalina. All right, so of course the Amygdala, oxytocin. I never thought I'd actually use that one, but that's actually true. Especially so the prefrontal cortex definitely. Um, there's more that. BMN. the DMN gets affected and the limbic system gets affected. Yeah, we'll have to talk about DMN. Okay. This one's gonna be funny. Default. Network. This is what happens when you have a lot of time on your hands. You read into a lot of stuff that people don't read into. I like reading. I like learning. So DMN. DMN. So brains. Specific brains. Self-world. Self-world. Self-referential. Referential is actually better to use here. Self-referential. Self-referential. What? Narrative. So this contributes to Vira. Vira's fractured sense of self. And difficulty maintaining a coherent personal narrative. Oh my god, that's gonna be a train wreck to actually explain. Hey, okay, the limbic system, we can't ignore that one. There's probably more, but we'll just keep it at 4. Limbic system. So this flood limbic system. Flooding Vira cycles emotional pain, fear. So that reinforces her obsessive behaviors. Reinforces her obsessive behaviors. If I can fucking spell right, oh my god. I forgot the yes. Yes. Obsessive behaviors. Coping mechanisms. Yep. All right. Holy crap! How long am I stream this for? 35 minutes? Fuck. I actually gotta get ready to go. Okay, we've done a lot in the short period, so let me actually read this. So the section 5, the brain's role: obsessive memory and emotional survival. Trauma hyperactivates the amygdala, the brain's threat detection sensor, making Vira sensitive to any signals of loss and abandonment. This leads to fixation on perceived emotional threats. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, in a sense paradoxically intensifies her obsession, creating a neurological loop where attachment becomes entangled with fear and anxiety. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for impulse control and emotional regulation through flight or flight, is impaired by stress and trauma, reducing Vira's ability to moderate her reactions or reflect rationally. DMN, default mode network, the brain system for self-referral, thought, and narrative identity. This contributes to Vira's fractured sense of self and difficulty maintaining a coherent personal narrative, which she definitely does not when she's going cuckoo. The limbic system, which is a big one, flooding Vira in cycles of emotional pain and fear, reinforcing her obsessive behaviors as coping mechanisms. Oh, this is gonna be so long of a video, which is fine. Which is fine. Anyways, good stuff. Unfortunately, I do have to get ready because I have to be up early tomorrow. So, as usual, once I'm out on my break, I'll do the horror one. When I get out of work, I'll do the Golden Sun one for a bit. Then I'll wrap up the evening and do this one. Stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow. Other than that, we out. Have a good one. See y'all later.